So hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to see 10 scenario-based AWS interview questions. This one is part 2. If you never watched my first video, part 1 related to AWS interview questions and answers, please watch that video also. In that video, we cover all basic AWS services required for AWS Cloud Engineer as a beginner level. In description, I have given link for that video. In this video, we are going to see AWS related interview question which are scenario based. This one is a practical knowledge related AWS cloud questions and answers. Let's see first question. You have a web application that needs to handle fluctuating traffic. How would you design the architecture to handle peak traffic situation? Means what, we have one web application with fluctuating traffic, and the problem statement is actually you design the architecture to handle peak traffic situation. In that, the first point is to design for any peak traffic we can utilize auto scaling. This one is a very important AWS service auto scaling groups. To design for any peak traffic we can utilize auto scaling groups behind an elastic load balancer. So the combination of auto scaling and load balancer is very important. First, see auto scaling. With this, the application can dynamically scale up and scale down based on the demand, ensuring optimal performance and cost efficiency. See, whenever traffic is more or traffic is down, means minimum traffic, there is a fluctuation. This fluctuation can be handled with load balancer and auto scaling. Auto scaling is used for scale up and scale down our resources. For that, we are using auto scaling along with load balancer. It will be very effective one. So in that, auto scaling is for scale up and scale down our resources, and it is cost effective and give optimal performance while using load balancer and auto scaling group. Now the next question, what would you consider when designing an Amazon cloud solution? See here, whenever designing an Amazon cloud solution, some important key factors are scalability, reliability, security, and cost optimization. These four terms are very important. These factors are very important, required to explain interior while asking this type of question. So in that, scalability is related to auto scaling. Means what, scale up and scale down our resources. And after that, reliability point is related to our Amazon EC2 service, that is used for web servers. We use for web servers. After that, security, which is Amazon AWS IAM. Here in security, AWS IAM, we can create user. We can create IAM user, we can create IAM group, user group. We can include those users into our IAM group, which some permissions and policies. There is a security, means what, with minimum permissions we give access to our AWS account with maximum security, and we can create also IAM role. After that, cost optimization is a factor very important with AWS Cost Explorer, where we use organizations financial budget. So we can decrease or increase our resources which are not useful with auto scaling. We can optimize our cost with use of minimum resources. After that, the next question, interviewer can ask you about your experience in AWS project handling. In that, describe successful AWS project that reflects your design and implementation experience with AWS solution architecture. Here, interviewer wants to know about your experience of using AWS services. In that, you can explain one of your successful AWS project involve migrating a legacy application to the cloud. You can use your project to explain this, but this is the example. In that, AWS project involve migrating a legacy application to the cloud. So interviewer can ask migration related question also. In that, you can explain how you use database like MySQL, like EC2 instance, like RDS MySQL instance in AWS. So here you can copy data from MySQL. This is the example with the service DMS, data migration service of AWS, and after that you can explain migrate data from replication instance to RDS MySQL instance to the RDS. Like this you can explain your project like migration. Along with this, by leveraging services like EC2, RDS, S3, DMS, we achieve improved scalability, high availability, and reduce infrastructure cost. The target is how to design an infrastructure with minimum cost and minimum resource use. So you can explain this migration process also along with that. So Amazon EC2, RDS, S3 are maximum use into each and every project, each and every infrastructure while we performing any infrastructure related task. I'm going to create one AWS project in next video. In that I'm going to use services CloudFront, EC2, Amazon RDS and S3. So don't forget to watch that video also and subscribe our channel for notification. So next question is, when would you prefer to use provision IOPS over standard RDS storage? We use standard RDS storage most of the times, but you can answer like I will choose provision IOPS when the application requires consistent and predictable database performance, especially for input output intensive workloads. Means what? We can decide along with input output workload. Historical data we can use here also. This ensures that the application can handle high amount of database transaction without compromising speed. Means what? With minimum latency, without any interruption, without any complexity. So while explaining this type of provision IOPS, it is required to explain points, 4 points like consistent database performance, input output workload, database transaction. After that, next question is, how would you right size a system for normal and peak traffic situations? Because handling traffic is very important while performing any solution architect related role. Here is to right size a system. We will analyze historical traffic patterns and use metrics to determine the appropriate resource allocation. We can analyze our historical data, how much data for that particular application used in last 6 months, last 1 month, last 6 months, last 1 year. Depending on that, we can decide our resources. We can scale up, scale down our resources. We can handle traffic, depends on that. So this is an analytics type of problem is occur most of the times while doing this type of task. By predicting peak traffic and designing for it, we can optimize cost and performance. Depends on that, deciding how much resources, how much machines, how much servers we required for this type of application. After that, the next question, give an example of a situation where given feedback that made you change your architectural design strategy. Most of the times we change our architecture, depends on feedback. You can explain like once I received feedback that highlighted the need for greater redundancy in the architecture to minimum downtime. Means it is also related to traffic redundancy and downtime. Without any latency, you required to provide service to the user at the end. This promoted to redesign the system. Feel like that there is a redundancy and downtime is occur while transmitting data. So we can change our architecture design strategy to improve our performance. This promoted to redesign the system, incorporating multi-region redundancy and fault tolerance components. Along with the region, we have to change our infrastructure, we have to change our architectural design strategy in that region we created. After this, interviewer will ask next question like, what do you think AWS is missing from a solution architect's perspective? It's like your opinion on AWS. You can give your opinion also, but there is one example like, while AWS offers a wide range of services and features, it would be beneficial to have more granular control over a network traffic within a VPC. AWS offers a wide range of services and features. Initially, all things are available in AWS, it would be beneficial to have more granular control. We require granular control over a network traffic within VPC. Granular control, this will provide a greater flexibility in designing complex network architectures. Now the next question, IBM decided to host video sharing website like youtube.com on AWS. How would you design the solution architecture? If IBM hosting on AWS like youtube.com, I will design a highly scalable and fault tolerant architecture using services like EC2, S3, CloudFront, and RDS. These four services are mostly used, and we have to explain practically these four services like EC2, like S3 bucket, CloudFront that is related to CDN, content delivery network, and RDS related to database. This will ensure that the website can handle massive traffic maintaining high availability using these four services. After this, the next question is how would you design an e-commerce application using AWS service? Related to e-commerce application, most of the interior ask question. You have to prepare one project or one project outline architecture to explain this type of questions answer. Now in this, while designing an e-commerce web application, I will leverage services like EC2 for web servers, after that RDS for database, and S3 for storing product images, and CloudFront for content delivery, that is CDN, content delivery network. These four services in AWS you can explain practically, or you can explain use of those services into your project along with some project. And this combination of these four services ensures a secure, scalable, and efficient infrastructure design along with effective shopping experience. Related to e-commerce application, if you are explaining, you can explain these four services at the priority level. After this, the next question, how can you improve the website page load time for users? Existing, there is a consider a website we have, and you have to improve the performance of that website for users to increase the reliability. Consider we have application, for example www.shridtech.com. To improve the page load time, consider measures like caching static content on AWS S3 and distributing it using CloudFront, that is CDN also important here. These two services, S3, Amazon S3 and CloudFront along with CDN, you can explain. Along with this, optimizing database performance and utilizing auto scaling capabilities can further enhance overall experience of user. Like that you can explain. Optimizing database performance and auto scaling you can include into your explanation. So these all are 10 questions related to AWS interview, scenario based interview ask most of the time this type of questions. I hope you like this video, share this video and subscribe our channel to more cloud and DevOps related information and knowledge.